What happens when the most dangerous man in the city decides you belong to him? Elena Cross thought one night of desperation would be her salvation, until Vincent Moretti, a crime boss who owns half the city, saw through every lie she'd ever told herself. Now she's caught between crushing debt, a dying mother, and a man whose obsession could either save her or destroy everything she has left. Will she survive his world or become another casualty of loving a monster? If you want to see how far this story goes, hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see where you're watching from. Now, let's begin. The dinner rush at Bellicosa had the usual rhythm: clinking silverware, murmured conversations, the soft jazz that made rich people feel cultured while they spent more on wine than Elena made in a week. She moved through it all like a ghost, balancing plates, refilling glasses, smiling until her face hurt. "Miss, this isn't what I ordered." Elena turned. Table 12. A woman in a dress that cost more than 3 months of Elena's rent, holding up a perfectly good salmon like it had personally offended her. "I'm so sorry. Let me get that fixed for you right away." The woman didn't even look at her, just waved her hand dismissively, already back to her conversation. Elena took the plate to the kitchen, her hands steady even though exhaustion was eating her alive from the inside out. 6 days straight, 12-hour shifts. Her feet screamed with every step, but she couldn't afford to stop. Not with the hospital calling every other day about her mother's bills. Not with the eviction notice she'd shoved in her drawer 3 days ago, pretending it didn't exist. "You good?" Marcus, the line cook, gave her a concerned look. Always. Lie. She was drowning, and everyone was too polite to mention it. She delivered the replacement salmon with an apology the woman didn't acknowledge, then moved to her next table. That's when she felt it. That prickle on the back of her neck that meant someone was watching. Elena had learned to ignore that feeling. Pretty waitresses in expensive restaurants got looked at. It was part of the job. But this was different. Heavier. More deliberate. She glanced up. Corner booth. The one they saved for special guests, the kind who didn't need reservations because the owner himself would clear the table the second they walked in. A man sat alone. Silver hair despite looking maybe 40, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than her car, back when she'd had a car. Sharp features. Cold eyes that tracked her movement across the room with an intensity that made her skin prickle. She'd worked here 2 years and had gotten good at reading people. The business types who thought tipping well earned them conversation. The old money who treated servers like furniture. The criminals who came here to pretend they weren't. This man was different. He didn't pretend anything. Elena looked away, pulse jumping. She'd seen him here before, maybe twice, always alone, always in that same booth. The staff whispered about him, Vincent something, she thought. The kind of man who made managers nervous and waiters overly attentive. The kind of man Elena had learned to avoid. Table 9 needs their check. Sarah, another waitress, appeared at her elbow. "You're up for the corner booth." Elena's stomach dropped. "Can you take it?" "He asked for you specifically." Of course he did. She smoothed her apron, squared her shoulders, and walked over with the same professional smile she'd worn all night. Up close, he was even more unnerving, those pale eyes fixed on her face with an attention that felt like being dissected. "Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink?" "Sit down." Elena blinked. "I'm sorry?" "Sit." He gestured to the seat across from him, not a request. A command, delivered in a voice that suggested he wasn't used to being refused. I'm working. I can't." "You can." He leaned back, still watching her with that unblinking focus. "Your shift ends in 20 minutes. Your manager will give you the rest of the night off. Sit." How did he know when her shift ended? Every instinct told her to walk away. But there was something in his expression, not threat exactly, though she had no doubt he was dangerous. Something else. Curiosity, maybe, or calculation. Against her better judgment, Elena slid into the booth. "What's your name?" "You know my name. You asked for me." A ghost of a smile. "I want to hear you say it." "Elena. Elena Cross." "Elena." He said it slowly, like he was testing the weight of it. "You look exhausted, Elena." "It's been a long week." 6 double shifts in a row, 2 jobs, night classes you dropped 3 months ago because you couldn't afford the tuition and the time. Her blood went cold. How do you... You're 26. You rent a studio apartment in Riverside that should have been condemned 5 years ago. You have $43 in your checking account. Your mother is at St. Catherine's Hospice with late-stage cancer, and the bills are... He paused, as if considering whether to twist the knife deeper. Substantial. Elena couldn't breathe. The restaurant noise faded to a dull roar in her ears. Who the hell are you? Vincent Moretti. He said it simply, like it should mean something. It didn't. Should it? And you? What? Looked me up? Had someone investigate me? Her voice shook with anger now, cutting through the fear. What kind of sick... I'm offering you a way out. That stopped her. Vincent leaned forward, hands folded on the table, calm, controlled. A man who'd said these words before, in different contexts, and always gotten what he wanted. Your mother's medical debt, the back rent. The credit cards you've been juggling for the last year, I can make it disappear. All of it. Elena laughed. It came out harsh, almost hysterical. Right. And what do you want? Because men like you don't offer something for nothing. Dinner. What? Dinner. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I'll send a car. She stared at him, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, the anger surged back. You think you can buy me? Jesus Christ, I'm not buying you. His voice cut across hers, sharp enough to draw blood. I'm offering you a choice. Dinner, conversation, nothing more. In exchange, your debts are cleared. Your mother gets moved to the private wing at St. Catherine's with round-the-clock care for whatever time she has left. Why? Does it matter? Yes. Elena's hands clenched into fists under the table. It matters. Nobody does this. Nobody offers to wipe out $60,000 in debt for a dinner. So what's the real catch? What do you actually want? Vincent studied her for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quieter but somehow more dangerous. I want to see if you're real. What the hell does that mean? It means everyone in my world wears a mask. They smile when they hate me. They agree when they want to put a bullet in my head. They perform. He gestured slightly, almost dismissive. You're too tired to pretend. When you smile at those people out there, I can see that you hate it. When that woman complained about her salmon, you wanted to throw it in her face. But you didn't. You apologized. You fixed it. You did your job even though every part of you wanted to walk out. That's not special. That's called being broke. No, that's called having a spine. And in my experience, that's rare. Elena shook her head, trying to process this. You're insane. Probably. He reached into his jacket. Elena tensed, but he only pulled out a business card. Set it on the table between them. Think about it. The offer stands until noon tomorrow. After that, I move on. To another desperate waitress? To no one. He stood, buttoning his jacket with precise movements. I don't make offers like this often, Elena. I suggest you consider it carefully. He turned to leave, then paused. Your mother's name is Margaret. She raised you alone after your father died when you were 8. She worked 3 jobs to keep you fed. She taught you to be kind even when the world wasn't. And now she's dying, and you're working yourself to death trying to give her dignity in her final days. His pale eyes found hers again. That's not nothing. That's everything. He walked away, leaving Elena sitting alone in the booth with a business card and a choice that shouldn't exist. She looked down at the card. Heavy stock, embossed letters, just a name and a phone number. Her hands were shaking. Elena didn't go straight home. She went to the hospice instead, even though visiting hours were technically over. The night nurse knew her well enough to look the other way. Her mother was sleeping. She looked so small in that hospital bed, like she was disappearing a little more each day. The cancer had taken everything, her strength, her color, the sharp wit that used to fill their tiny apartment. Now there was just this fragile shell, hooked up to machines that beeped softly in the darkness. Elena pulled a chair close and took her mother's hand. Hey, Mom. Sorry I'm late. No response, just the steady rhythm of breathing, shallow and labored. I met someone tonight, some rich guy. He said he could make the bills go away. All of them, yours, mine, everything. She laughed softly, the sound catching in her throat. Sounds too good to be true, right? That's what I thought. There's always a catch, always. Her mother's fingers twitched slightly in her grip. But what if there isn't? What if I could actually do something? Give you the care you deserve instead of this. She gestured at the cramped room, the fluorescent lights, the peeling linoleum. What if I could buy you time, real time, not just waiting? The machines beeped. Her mother slept. Elena sat there for an hour, holding that thin hand, trying to convince herself she wasn't actually considering this, that she wouldn't really call the number on the card burning a hole in her pocket. But she was lying to herself again. She'd gotten good at that. But the next morning, Elena stood in her apartment staring at her phone. The business card sat on her counter. She'd been looking at it for 20 minutes. This is stupid. This is dangerous. Men like Vincent Moretti don't help people out of the goodness of their hearts. There's always a price. Her phone buzzed. Text from the hospital billing department. Another past due notice. Another threat of collections. Another reminder that Margaret Cross would die in a place that smelled like disinfectant and resignation, surrounded by people who couldn't afford better. Elena picked up the card. She dialed before she could change her mind. It rang once. I was beginning to think you wouldn't call. Vincent's voice, she smooth and unsurprised, like he'd been expecting this. I haven't agreed to anything. But you called. That's a start. I need to know what this really is. No bullshit. What do you actually want from me? I told you, dinner. For $60,000? Nobody's company is worth that much. Yours might be. A pause. Elena, I'm going to be direct with you. I could take what I want. I have the resources and the reach to make your problems disappear and your life significantly more difficult if you refuse me. But I'm not going to do that. I'm offering you a choice because I want you to make it willingly. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you understand the situation. His voice hardened slightly. I'm not a good man. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I keep my word. Have dinner with me. If at the end of the evening you want nothing more to do with me, you walk away. The debt disappears anyway. Your mother gets moved to private care anyway. No strings, no expectations. Why would you do that? Because I can. Because I want to. Because I'm curious what you'll choose. He exhaled slowly. And because watching you pretend you're fine when you're falling apart reminded me of someone I used to know. Someone I couldn't help. Maybe I can help you. Elena's throat tightened. She hated how much she wanted to believe him. One dinner. One dinner. And if I say no afterward, you leave me alone, completely. You have my word. The word of a criminal. The word of a man who has never broken a promise. His voice dropped lower. 8 o'clock. Wear whatever you want. The car will pick you up. I didn't give you my address. Elena. A trace of amusement now. I know everything about you. Your address is the least interesting detail. He hung up. She stood there, phone pressed to her ear, listening to dead air, and wondering what the hell she'd just agreed to. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Elena called out sick from her other job, a first in 2 years. She spent an hour at the hospice telling her mother about everything except the phone call. She went home. She stared at her closet and realized she owned nothing appropriate for dinner with a man who wore suits that cost more than her monthly rent. Finally, she settled on a simple black dress she'd bought for a friend's wedding 3 years ago. It was outdated probably, but it was clean and it fit. That would have to be enough. At 7:45, her phone buzzed. Car is outside. Elena looked out her window. A black town car sat at the curb, sleek and out of place in her neighborhood. The driver stood beside it, waiting. Her hand shook as she grabbed her purse. This is your last chance to back out. To call this off. To be smart. She went downstairs. The driver opened the door without a word. Elena slid into the back seat and they pulled away from her building, away from everything familiar. The city lights blurred past as they drove toward whatever waited on the other side of this decision. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to a restaurant that didn't have a sign. The kind of place that didn't need one because the people who belonged there already knew where it was. Vincent stood outside, waiting. He changed from the suit he'd worn last night. This one was darker, perfectly tailored, making him look like old money and new danger all at once. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Elena. Vincent. He offered his arm. After a moment's hesitation, she took it. Nervous? Should I be? Probably. He led her inside through a dimly lit entrance where a man who looked like ex-military nodded to Vincent with obvious deference. But I promise you'll survive the evening. Comforting. They were shown to a private room, all dark wood and soft lighting, a single table set for two. No other diners, no staff hovering nearby. Just them. Vincent pulled out her chair. Elena sat, feeling like she'd stepped into someone else's life. Wine? I don't drink much. Neither do I. Keeps the mind sharp. He poured water instead, his movements precise. Tell me about your mother. That's your opening question? You love her. She's dying. That defines everything else right now, so yes. Tell me about her. Elena picked up her water glass just to have something to do with her hands. What do you want to know? What makes her remarkable? She's my mother. She's supposed to be remarkable to me. But she is, isn't she? More than most people's parents. Elena looked down. She never complained, not once. When my dad died, she could have fallen apart. We had nothing. Insurance didn't cover half of what we needed. But she just kept going. Got up every morning, worked, made sure I had everything I needed even when she went without. You're describing yourself. What? That's what you're doing now. Working yourself to exhaustion, going without, making sure she has what she needs. Vincent leaned back, studying her. You learned it from her. I learned that life doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you can survive. Bleak worldview for 26. Realistic worldview for someone who's been broke her entire life. Elena met his eyes. Your turn. Tell me something real, not the practiced speech. Something true. Vincent was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice had lost some of its calculated edge. I was 10 when I realized my father was a monster. Not the kind of monster that scares children. The kind that makes grown men disappear. The kind that smiles at you over breakfast and then orders someone's death before lunch. He paused. I told myself I'd never become him. That I'd be different. Better. Are you? No. He said it without hesitation. I'm exactly what he was. Maybe worse, because I know what I'm doing and I do it anyway. Then why tell me this? Why not lie? Because you asked for truth. And because I'm tired of people who think they know me when all they know is my reputation. A waiter appeared with the first course, something elaborate that Elena couldn't name. Vincent must have ordered ahead. She took a bite. It was perfect. She barely tasted it. This place. You own it. I own a lot of things. That's not an answer. Yes, I own it. The chef is from Milan. He cooks for me and no one else. Vincent hadn't touched his food. Does that bother you? Knowing I have this much? Should it? Most people would call it obscene, this kind of wealth, this kind of power. Most people aren't looking at $60,000 in medical debt. Elena set down her fork. I don't care how much money you have. I care what you want from me. And don't say dinner. We're at dinner. There has to be more. What do you think I want? I think you're lonely. The words came out before she could stop them. Vincent went very still. Lonely. Yes, I think you have everything. Money, power, people who do whatever you want. But no one actually sees you. They see the monster, the reputation, the man who makes people disappear, but not you. Elena leaned forward. You said I'm real because I'm too tired to pretend. Maybe you picked me because you're tired of it too. Vincent didn't move for several heartbeats. Then he picked up his wine glass. When had he poured wine? And took a slow sip. You're perceptive. I'm a waitress. You learn to read people. No, you're more than that. He set the glass down. You're right. I am tired. And you do see me. That's rare. They ate in silence for a while. Elena found herself relaxing slightly, though she couldn't explain why. This man was dangerous. She knew that with absolute certainty. But he wasn't performing for her, wasn't trying to impress her or intimidate her. He was just there, present,
honest in a way that felt almost reckless. "Can I ask you something?" Elena said eventually. "Yes." "The money. My mother's care. Are you really going to follow through, even if I never see you again after tonight?" "Yes." "How do I know you're telling the truth?" Vincent pulled out his phone, tapped something, then turned it to face her. A bank transfer confirmation, her mother's medical debt, paid in full. Timestamp, 3 hours ago. Elena's vision blurred. "I don't understand." "I told you, I keep my word." He put the phone away. "The hospice will call you tomorrow about transferring her to the private wing. Everything's arranged. But I'm still here, the dinner. You said, I said I'd clear the debt if you had dinner with me. You're having dinner with me." He watched her carefully. "This doesn't obligate you to anything, Elena. I meant that." She was crying now, trying not to, failing. "Why?" "Because I wanted to. Because I could. Because watching you struggle reminded me that not everyone in this world is playing an angle." He handed her a napkin. "Because maybe I wanted to do one decent thing." Elena wiped her eyes, trying to pull herself together. Everything felt surreal. The food, the room, this impossibly dangerous man who'd just given her back her life. "Thank you," she managed finally. "Don't thank me yet." "Why not?" "Because the debt is clear, but I'm going to ask you something else. And you're not going to like it." Her stomach dropped. "Here's the real catch." "No catch. Just an offer." Vincent leaned forward, his pale eyes intense. "Spend time with me. Not as payment, not as obligation, but because you choose to. Let me show you my world. Let me know you better. And if you decide you want nothing to do with me, you walk away clean. But if you stay," he paused. "If you stay, I'll give you everything. Protection, security. A life where you never have to fake another smile for someone who treats you like furniture." "What would I have to give up?" "Normal, safe, the life you thought you'd have." His voice was almost gentle. "I won't lie to you, Elena. My world is violent. People die. Enemies make moves. If you're with me, you become a target. That's not a metaphor. That's reality." "Then why would I choose that?" "Because you're already drowning. Because the life you have now is killing you slowly. Because maybe, just maybe, you're as tired of pretending as I am." He stood, came around the table, and extended his hand. "I'm not asking for an answer tonight. I'm asking you to consider the possibility. 1 week. See my world. Then decide." Elena looked at his hand, at this man who'd appeared out of nowhere and offered her an impossible choice. Every logical part of her brain screamed to refuse, to take the gift he'd already given and run, to disappear back into her small, safe, suffocating life. But she thought about her mother in that depressing hospice room, about the bills that would never stop coming, about the bone-deep exhaustion that defined every waking moment. She thought about the way Vincent had looked at her last night, not with lust or possession, but with recognition, like he'd seen someone he knew. She took his hand. 1 week. 1 week, Vincent agreed. And Elena Cross, 26-year-old waitress with $43 to her name, stepped off the edge of the world she knew and into something far darker. She just didn't realize yet how dark it would get. Or that by the time she understood the true cost of Vincent Moretti's world, walking away would no longer be an option. Not because he wouldn't let her, but because she wouldn't want to. The car arrived at 9 the next morning. Elena had been awake since 5, staring at her ceiling, wondering what the hell she'd agreed to. 1 week in Vincent Moretti's world. 7 days to see what that actually meant before making a decision that could change everything or end in disaster. She'd spent the night alternating between relief, her mother's debt was gone, really gone, and a creeping sense that she'd just sold herself into something she didn't understand. She was still in her pajamas when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Car outside. Take your time. Bring whatever you need for a few days." Elena stared at the message. A few days. Not just visits, not just dinners. He wanted her to stay somewhere. She should say no. She should text back that she'd changed her mind, that this was moving too fast, that she needed space to think. Instead, she showered, threw clothes into an overnight bag, and tried to ignore the way her hands shook. The driver was the same one from last night, silent, professional, opening the door without meeting her eyes. Elena slid into the back seat, and they pulled away from her building.
This time she watched the route. Downtown first, then toward the waterfront, into a neighborhood where buildings became sleeker, taller, more expensive with every block. They stopped in front of a high-rise that looked like it belonged in a magazine. All glass and steel, reaching up into the morning sky like it was trying to escape the city below. The driver opened her door. "Mr. Moretti is expecting you, penthouse floor." Elena got out, gripping her worn duffel bag. The doorman nodded to her like she belonged here, which was almost funny. She'd never belonged anywhere like this. The elevator was mirrored. She caught her reflection, tired eyes, rumpled jacket, everything about her screaming that she was out of place. The numbers climbed. When they hit P, the doors opened directly into an apartment. Not an apartment, a space that occupied the entire top floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the city that made her breath catch. Modern furniture, art on the walls that was probably worth more than she'd earn in 10 years. Everything clean and precise and deliberately chosen. Vincent stood by the windows, phone to his ear, gesturing sharply at whoever was on the other end. "I don't care what he thinks. The shipment moves Thursday or not at all. Make it clear." He listened for a moment. "Then make him understand. I'm not in the business of accommodating incompetence." He ended the call and turned. When he saw Elena, something in his expression softened slightly. "You came. You paid off my mother's medical debt. Seemed rude not to show up." "You're angry. I'm terrified." The honesty surprised her. "I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know you. I don't know anything except that you're dangerous, and I just agreed to spend a week in your world." Vincent crossed the room, stopping a few feet away, close enough to be intimidating, far enough to give her space. "You can leave any time. I mean that. The door isn't locked. The debt doesn't come back. You're not trapped." "Then why do I feel like I am?" "Because you're smart enough to know that every choice has consequences." He gestured to the apartment. "This is where I live. You can stay here, separate room, or I'll arrange a hotel. Your choice." "Why would I stay here?" "Because my world is dangerous, and until people understand you're under my protection, you're vulnerable. Here, you're safe." He paused. "I have security, guards, systems. No one gets through without my knowledge. That's supposed to be comforting? It's supposed to be practical." Vincent moved to the kitchen, an open space with marble counters and appliances that looked unused. "Coffee? Please." He made it himself, which surprised her. Precise movements, measuring grounds, setting up the machine like he'd done it 1,000 times. Not what she'd expected from a man who probably had people for everything. "You don't have staff here." "Not in the penthouse. I value privacy." He handed her a mug. "Elena, I need you to understand something. The people I deal with, the business I conduct, it's not clean, it's not legal, and it's not safe. If you're going to be part of this, even temporarily, you need to see it clearly. So show me." "I will, starting today." He checked his watch. "I have a meeting at 11. You're coming with me." "What kind of meeting?" "The kind where you'll see exactly who I am, what I do, and then you can decide if you want any part of it." Elena sipped the coffee. It was perfect. Of course it was. "Will I be in danger?" "Not physically, I'll make sure of that. But you'll see things that might change how you look at me." His pale eyes held hers. "I won't lie to you, Elena. Not about this. I'm going to show you the worst of it first. If you can handle that, the rest might be manageable. And if I can't handle it, then you walk away knowing exactly why." She should walk away now, should take the gift he'd given her and disappear back into her small life. But standing in this apartment, looking at this man who'd turned her world upside down in 48 hours, Elena realized she didn't want to. Not yet. "Okay, show me." Vincent's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Approval, maybe, or concern. "Get ready. We leave in an hour." The meeting was in a warehouse on the industrial side of the city, the kind of place that looked abandoned but clearly wasn't. 3 cars were parked outside when they arrived, expensive vehicles that didn't belong in this neighborhood. Vincent's driver pulled up to a side entrance. 2 men materialized from nowhere, both carrying guns they didn't bother hiding. "Stay close to me," Vincent said quietly. "Don't speak unless I tell you to. Don't react to anything you see. Understood?" Elena nodded, her throat tight. They went inside. The warehouse was mostly empty. Concrete floors, exposed beams,
harsh fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead. A group of men stood in the center, 5 of them, all dressed like they'd come from the same expensive tailor as Vincent, all looking at her with varying degrees of suspicion. Moretti. One of them stepped forward, older than the others, with salt and pepper hair and a scar running down his left cheek. "You're late." "I'm exactly on time, Sal." "You're early." "That's not my problem." Vincent's voice had changed, colder, harder, nothing like the man who'd made her coffee an hour ago. "Did you bring what I asked for? Did you bring the money?" "I don't pay for something I haven't verified." Sal's eyes slid to Elena. "Who's the girl?" "None of your concern." "Everything in this room is my concern. You bring an outsider to our business. She's not an outsider. She's with me. That's all you need to know." Vincent moved forward, putting himself between Elena and the other men. A deliberate barrier. "Show me the merchandise." Sal nodded to one of his guys, who disappeared through a door at the back, returned a moment later carrying a metal case, set it on a table and opened it. Elena couldn't see what was inside from where she stood, but Vincent examined it carefully, picking up something, checking it, setting it down. "This is short." "No, it's not." "I count 32. We agreed on 40. Sal's expression didn't change. "Price went up. Supply issues." "We had a deal." "Deals change." The temperature in the room dropped. Vincent straightened slowly, his movements deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, almost conversational. "Sal, we've done business for 5 years. In that time, I've been fair, I've been reliable. I've never shorted you, never questioned your product, never made things difficult." He paused. "But if you think you can renegotiate in the middle of a transaction, you're making a mistake." "I'm making a business decision." "No, you're testing me." Vincent took a step closer. "You want to see if I'll pay more because I need this shipment. You want to know if bringing the girl made me soft. So let me be clear. I'm not paying more. You'll deliver what we agreed on, at the price we agreed on, or we're done, permanently. You need this product, Moretti. Without it, I have other suppliers. You have other buyers. The question is whether either of us wants to start over." Vincent's voice dropped lower. "I don't make threats, Sal. I make promises. If you deliver what we agreed on, we continue doing business. If you don't, you'll find out exactly how much I value loyalty, and how little I tolerate being played." Silence. The other men watched, tense, hands drifting toward weapons Elena suspected they all carried. Finally, Sal smiled. No warmth in it. "You've got balls, I'll give you that. Most guys would have just paid." "I'm not most guys." "No, you're not." Sal gestured to his man. "Get the rest from the truck." The tension broke slightly. The guy left and returned with another case, set it beside the first. Vincent checked it quickly, then nodded. "Acceptable." "Money?" Vincent pulled out his phone, tapped something. Sal's phone buzzed a moment later. "Pleasure doing business," Vincent said, though his tone suggested it was anything but. "Gentlemen?" He turned, hand finding the small of Elena's back, guiding her toward the exit. She forced herself to walk normally, not run, even though every instinct screamed at her to get out of that building. They made it to the car. Vincent's driver pulled away immediately. Elena exhaled shakily. "What was that?" "Business." "That wasn't business. That was—" She struggled for words. "Someone was going to get shot in there. I could feel it." "Probably." Vincent loosened his tie slightly, the first sign of tension she'd seen from him. But not today. Sal was posturing, testing boundaries. He won't try again. "How do you know?" "Because I've been doing this long enough to read people. He wanted to see if I'd back down. I didn't. That's the end of it." He looked at her. "You did well, staying quiet, not reacting." "I was too scared to react." "Fear is good. Keeps you alert, keeps you alive." Vincent leaned back against the seat. "That's my world, Elena. Negotiations that could turn violent. Men testing each other constantly. Power plays disguised as business deals. Still interested?" She should say no, should demand he take her home right now. Instead, she asked, "What was in the cases?" "Information, hard drives, data stolen from companies whose security wasn't as good as they thought." "You're a thief."
I facilitate acquisitions. Sometimes that means buying information. Sometimes that means taking it. Always it means profit. He turned to face her fully. I'm not going to sanitize this for you. I break laws. I hurt people who get in my way. I've built an empire on things most people would find reprehensible. If that's too much, it is too much, Elena interrupted. It's way too much. But you knew that. That's why you brought me, to scare me off. No, to show you the truth so you can make an informed choice. Bullshit. The word came out harder than she intended. You wanted to see if I'd run. If I'd prove I'm just another person who can't handle your world. Well, I'm still here, so what's the next test? Vincent studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. A real smile, not the calculated ones she'd seen him use with Sal. Dinner tonight, no tests, just us. More of the truth? More of everything. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. I need to handle something. The driver will take you back to the penthouse. Make yourself comfortable. Order food if you're hungry. I'll be back by 7. Can I leave if I want? Yes, but I hope you don't. The car dropped her at the high-rise. Elena went back up to the penthouse, her mind racing. She should leave, should grab her bag and walk out while she still could. Instead, she explored. The apartment was massive. Living room, kitchen, dining area, all open and connected. A hallway led to what she assumed were bedrooms. She found 3. The master was clearly Vincent's. Minimal decoration, military neat, a king-size bed that looked like it rarely got used. The second was a guest room, impersonal and pristine. The third was an office. Elena hesitated, then went inside. Desk, computer, filing cabinets that were probably locked. Books on the shelves, business mostly, some philosophy, a few novels that surprised her. A photo on the desk caught her attention. Vincent, maybe 10 years younger, standing with another man who had the same pale eyes. Brothers, probably. Both unsmiling, both looking like they'd already seen too much of whatever world they'd been born into. She picked up the frame. That's Marcus. Elena spun. Vincent stood in the doorway watching her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snoop. It's fine. You're curious. That's natural. He came into the office, took the photo from her hands. My brother, he died 6 years ago. I'm sorry. Don't be. He made choices that got him killed. Stupid choices. Emotional choices. Vincent set the photo down. He fell in love with the wrong woman. Someone connected to a rival organization. I told him to end it. He didn't. They used her to get to him, put 3 bullets in his head and left him in an alley. Elena's stomach turned. That's horrible. That's reality. In my world, love is a weakness, a vulnerability that gets exploited. Marcus forgot that. His eyes found hers. I never will. Is that a warning? It's a fact. He moved to the window, looking out over the city. I brought you here to show you what this life actually is. Not the money or the power, the cost. People die, Elena. People I care about. People who get too close. That's not a metaphor. That's Tuesday. Then why did you ask me to stay? Why offer me any of this if it's so dangerous? Because I'm selfish. Because when I look at you, I see something I want, and I'm used to taking what I want. He turned back to her. But I'm not a complete monster. I'm giving you the information to make a choice. Stay, and you're protected but trapped. Leave, and you're safe but alone. There's no perfect answer. Elena crossed her arms. You said no more tests. This feels like a test. It's not. It's honesty. Vincent moved closer, stopping just outside her personal space. I could lie to you, make this seem easier than it is, but you'd figure it out eventually, and then you'd hate me for the deception. I'd rather you hate me now for the truth than later for the lie. I don't hate you. You should. Maybe. Elena met his eyes. But I don't. I think you're dangerous and probably damaged and definitely not someone I should be spending time with. But I don't hate you. Why not? Because you paid off my mother's debt without expecting anything in return. Because you're showing me the worst of yourself first instead of hiding it. Because... She struggled for the right words. Because you're honest. That's rare. especially in men with power. Vincent's expression shifted, something vulnerable flickering across his features before disappearing behind the cold mask. "You're going to get hurt if you stay." "I'm already hurt. I've been hurt my whole life. At least this way I get to choose how." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he touched her face, just his fingers against her cheek, gentle in a way that didn't match anything else about him. "You're making a mistake." "Probably, but it's my mistake to make." Vincent leaned in. Elena's breath caught. For a moment she thought he was going to kiss her, and she didn't know if she wanted him to or not. Instead, he pulled back. "Dinner, 7 o'clock. I'm cooking." "You cook?" "I do a lot of things that might surprise you." He stepped away, breaking the moment. "There's a guest room made up, second door on the right. Make yourself at home." He left her standing in his office, holding the photograph of a dead brother, wondering what the hell she was doing and why she couldn't bring herself to leave. Dinner was Italian. Vincent moved around the kitchen with the same precision he brought to everything else, chopping vegetables, checking pots, tasting sauces. Elena sat at the counter, watching. "Where did you learn to cook?" "My mother. Before she died, she made sure Marcus and I could take care of ourselves. Said relying on other people was a mistake." He added something to the pan. "Wine, maybe." "She was right." "You loved her." "I did. She was the only person in my father's house who wasn't afraid of him. That took courage." "What happened to her?" "Cancer. Same as your mother." His hand stilled briefly on the knife. "She went fast. 6 months from diagnosis to death. My father didn't even visit her in the hospital. Too busy managing the business." "I'm sorry." "It was a long time ago." But his voice suggested it wasn't. "Not really." They ate at the dining table, pasta, bread, a salad that was simple but perfect. Elena was hungrier than she'd realized. When was the last time she'd had a real meal? Not grabbed food between shifts, not vending machine dinners at the hospital. An actual sit-down meal. "This is really good." "You sound surprised." "I am. Dangerous crime bosses aren't supposed to make carbonara." Vincent almost smiled. "I contain multitudes." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Vincent's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. "Excuse me." He stepped away, taking the call in the other room. Elena heard his voice, sharp, cold, the same tone he'd used with Sal. "I don't care. Handle it." "No, not tomorrow. Tonight. I want it resolved before morning." "Then make him understand what resolved means." He came back, but the ease from moments before was gone. Now he looked like the man from the warehouse. Dangerous, calculating, someone who'd give orders that ended lives without hesitation. "Problem?" "Nothing you need to worry about." "That's not an answer." Vincent sat back down, but he didn't pick up his fork. "Someone made a move against one of my operations, a competitor testing boundaries. It's being addressed." "How?" "However it needs to be." Elena set down her own fork. "That means violence." "Usually. People could die." "Probably will." He met her eyes. "This is what I meant, Elena. I make decisions that result in people getting hurt, sometimes killed. I don't lose sleep over it. I don't question whether it's right. I do what's necessary to protect what's mine." "And that doesn't bother you?" "It used to. When I was younger, still idealistic enough to think I could be different from my father. But this world doesn't reward idealism. It rewards strength, decisiveness, the willingness to do what others won't." "That's a lonely way to live." "Yes." He said it simply, without self-pity. "It is, but it's effective." "Is that why you wanted me here? To have someone who doesn't see you that way?" Vincent was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired of being alone in rooms full of people who would kill me if they thought they could get away with it." "I don't want to kill you." "No, you just want to understand me. That might be more dangerous." Elena stood, gathering dishes. Vincent watched her move to the kitchen, rinse the plates, load them into the dishwasher like she belonged there. "You don't have to do that." "I know. But sitting still while you clean up feels wrong. Most people in your position would let me handle it."
I'm not most people. No.
Vincent came up behind her, close enough that she could feel his presence. You're not. She turned. He was right there, close enough to touch. For a moment, neither of them moved. This is a bad idea, Elena said quietly. Terrible idea. You're dangerous. This whole situation is insane. Completely insane. I should leave. Probably. But she didn't leave, and Vincent didn't step back. If I stay, things change. Between us. You know that. I know. His hand came up, cupping her face again. I'm trying to give you every reason to walk away, Elena. I'm showing you the worst of me, the violence, the coldness, the choices I make that would horrify most people, and you're still here. Maybe I'm broken too. You're not broken. You're honest. That's different. You keep saying that, honest, like it's rare. In my world, it's non-existent. His thumb traced her cheekbone. Everyone performs. Everyone lies. Everyone wants something. You just want to survive, to take care of your mother, to get through each day. That's real in a way nothing else in my life is. Elena's heart was pounding. Vincent? His phone rang, loud, insistent, shattering the moment. Vincent swore softly, pulled back, answered it. What? When? How many? His expression went cold. I'm on my way. He ended the call, already moving toward the door. What happened? One of my warehouses. Someone hit it. 3 of my men are dead. The product is gone. He grabbed a jacket from the closet, checked something in the pocket. A gun, Elena realized with a jolt. I need to handle this. Now? It's almost midnight. This doesn't wait for convenient hours. He turned back to her. Stay here. Don't leave the building. Security knows you're with me, but until I get back, you're vulnerable. Understood? You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. This is an escalation. Someone's making a move and they're doing it now because they think I'm distracted. His eyes found hers. Because of you. Elena's stomach dropped. What? You've been seen with me. Word travels fast. Now my enemies think I'm soft. That I care about something other than business. They're testing me. He came back, gripped her shoulders. Stay here. Lock the door after I leave. Don't answer it for anyone but me. If something happens, if someone gets past security, there's a panic button under the kitchen counter. Press it, and my people will come. Vincent, this is my world. The reality of it. People die, Elena. Sometimes for no reason except they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I won't let that be you. He kissed her forehead quickly, almost desperately. Stay safe. I'll be back when I can. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him with a definitive click. Elena stood alone in the penthouse, her mind racing. 3 men dead, a warehouse hit, enemies making moves. This wasn't abstract anymore. This wasn't just negotiations and veiled threats in industrial buildings. This was real, and she was in the middle of it. She locked the door like Vincent had told her, found the panic button under the counter. Then she sat on the couch, lights off, staring out at the city lights and wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life, or if the biggest mistake was yet to come. It was 3 in the morning when Vincent finally returned. Elena had dozed off on the couch, jerking awake at the sound of the door opening. He came in looking like he'd been through hell, jacket gone, shirt spotted with something that might have been blood, exhaustion written into every line of his body. Are you okay? Elena was on her feet before she'd decided to move. I'm fine. It's handled. Handled how? You don't want to know. He moved past her toward the kitchen, poured whiskey with shaking hands, downed it in one swallow. Elena followed him. Vincent? 4 men are dead. 2 of theirs, 2 of mine. The warehouse is a crime scene. I'll lose the product and probably the building, but I sent a message, clear enough that there won't be any confusion about where I stand. He poured another drink, didn't touch it, just stared at the glass. This is what you signed up for. Death. Retaliation. Endless cycles of violence because that's how power works in this world. You're trying to scare me away again. I'm trying to make you understand what staying means. Elena moved closer. Up close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. This man who was always controlled, always precise, looked like he was barely holding himself together. Did you kill anyone tonight? Do you really want the answer to that? Yes. Vincent met her eyes. No, but I gave the order, so yes. Effectively, I did. She should be horrified, should run, just like he kept telling her to. Instead, she reached for his hand. Come on. What? You're exhausted. You're covered in whatever that is. You need to clean up and sleep. She pulled him toward the hallway. Where's your bathroom? He didn't resist, just let her lead him to the master suite. The bathroom was all marble and chrome, spotlessly clean. Elena turned on the shower, testing the temperature. I can manage, Vincent said quietly. I know, but you're not going to. She helped him out of his jacket, unbuttoned his shirt. His skin was scarred, old wounds that spoke of a violent life. Shower. I'll find you clean clothes. Elena, don't argue. For once, just let someone take care of you. He looked at her for a long moment, something vulnerable and raw in his expression. Then he nodded and stepped into the shower. Elena found clothes in his dresser, t-shirt, sweatpants. Heard the water running, tried not to think about what he'd seen tonight, what he'd done. When the water stopped, she handed him a towel through the door. He came out looking more human, less like the controlled crime boss, more like a man who'd had the worst night of his life. Thank you. Don't. Elena met his eyes. Don't thank me for basic human decency. In my world, basic human decency is in short supply. Then your world is broken. Yes, it is. He moved toward the bed, then hesitated. You should go to the guest room. Get some sleep. Will you sleep? Probably not. Then I'm staying. Elena sat on the edge of his bed, met his surprised look with determination. Not for anything else, just, you shouldn't be alone right now. You keep surprising me. Good. Someone should. Vincent lay down, still watching her like he expected her to bolt. When she didn't, when she just settled beside him on top of the covers, fully clothed, something in him seemed to break. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you normal. All I can promise is that I'll protect you as much as I'm able, and that I'll never lie to you about what this life is. I know. You should run. I know that too. Then why don't you? Elena looked at him, this dangerous, damaged man who turned her life upside down. Because everyone in your world sees the monster, and I think you're tired of being seen that way, even if you're not sure there's anything else underneath. Vincent reached for her hand, held it like it was the only thing keeping him tethered. There might not be anything else. Then I guess we'll find out together. They lay there in the darkness, not speaking, just breathing. Elena felt the moment he finally fell asleep, his grip on her hand loosening slightly but not letting go. She stayed awake, watching the city lights through the window, wondering what the next 5 days would bring, wondering if she'd survive them, and wondering, with a thrill that terrified her, if she even wanted to. Elena woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and Vincent's side of the bed empty. She sat up, disoriented, before remembering where she was. His penthouse. His bed. The events of last night came rushing back, the blood on his shirt, the exhaustion in his eyes, the way he'd held her hand like she was the only solid thing in his world. She found him in the kitchen, already dressed in a fresh suit, phone pressed to his ear. He looked up when she entered, held up one finger in a wait gesture. I don't care what it costs. Get it done today. Yes, all of it. And Marcus, make sure the families are taken care of. Full compensation, no questions asked. He ended the call. Coffee? Please. Elena slid onto a bar stool, watching him move through the familiar motions. You didn't sleep much. 3 hours. That's about average. He poured 2 cups, slid one across to her. How did you sleep? Better than I expected. Your bed is comfortable. It should be. I paid enough for it. He leaned against the counter, studying her. You stayed. You thought I'd leave while you were sleeping? I thought you'd come to your senses. Elena wrapped her hands around the mug, letting the warmth seep into her palms. What happens now, after last night? Now we deal with the fallout. The police will investigate the warehouse. I have people who will make sure nothing traces back to me, but it's going to be messy for a while. He paused. You need to stay close until I know who made the move and why you're vulnerable. Because I'm with you.
Yes, they'll use anything they can to get leverage. You've been seen with me. That makes you a target. His jaw tightened. I should send you away. Put you somewhere safe until this is resolved. But you won't. No.
Because I'm selfish, and because sending you away won't actually protect you. They already know about you. Distance won't change that. He set down his coffee. So you stay close, you do what I tell you, and you trust that I'll keep you alive. That's a lot of trust to put in someone I've known less than a week. Yes, it is. Vincent moved around the counter, stopping in front of her. Elena, I need you to understand something. The men who hit my warehouse last night, they're not finished. This was an opening move. There will be more. And eventually they'll come for you because hurting you hurts me. Then why not end this now? Send me back to my life before it gets worse. Because it's already too late for that. The moment you got in my car, the moment you sat across from me at dinner, you became part of this. There's no going back. His hand came up, fingers brushing her jaw. I'm sorry. I should have warned you better. Should have made you understand that this isn't something you can dip your toes into and walk away from clean. Elena's pulse jumped at his touch. You did warn me. I just didn't listen. No, you didn't. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Why is that? Why are you still here when every logical part of you should be running? She didn't have a good answer, or maybe she did, and she wasn't ready to admit it. I don't know, maybe I'm tired of running from things. Maybe I'm tired of being scared all the time. She met his gaze. Or maybe I see something in you that makes this feel less insane than it should. What do you see? Someone who's as tired as I am. Someone who's been pretending so long he doesn't know what's real anymore. She reached up, covered his hand with hers. Someone who's lonely. Vincent went very still. For a moment she thought she'd said too much, crossed some invisible line. Then he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and tasted like coffee and something darker. Elena's brain screamed that this was a mistake, but her body didn't care. She kissed him back, feeling 3 days of tension and fear, and something she didn't want to name pour out between them. He pulled back first, breathing hard. That was a bad idea. Probably. Elena's lips felt bruised. Are you going to apologize? No. Good. Don't. His phone rang. Vincent swore, stepped back, answered it with barely controlled frustration. What? When? I'll be there in 20. He ended the call, already moving toward the door. I have to go. Stay in the apartment. Security's been doubled. No one gets up here without going through 3 checkpoints. Understood? Vincent, please, Elena, just this once, don't argue with me. Stay here where I know you're safe. He left before she could respond. Elena stood alone in the kitchen, her lips still tingling from the kiss, her mind racing. This was spiraling out of control faster than she could process. 3 days ago, she'd been a waitress drowning in debt. Now she was in a crime boss's penthouse, being told she was a target, kissing a man who made people disappear. She should call someone. Her manager at the restaurant, her few friends, someone who could talk sense into her. Instead, she went to find her phone and call the hospice. Hi, this is Elena Cross. I'm calling about my mother, Margaret Cross. Oh, Miss Cross. Yes, we were going to call you this morning. Your mother's been moved to our private care wing as requested. She's settling in well. The staff there is wonderful. Elena's throat tightened. Can I visit? Of course. Anytime. We have extended visiting hours in that wing. She ended the call and stood there, staring at her phone. Vincent had done this, had actually followed through, even knowing she might walk away. The debt was gone. Her mother was getting real care, all of it happening exactly like he'd promised. The man was a criminal, a killer, directly or indirectly. He lived in a world of violence and power plays and constant danger, but he kept his word. Elena grabbed her jacket. She needed to see her mother, needed to ground herself in something real before she lost herself completely in Vincent's orbit. The security guard at the elevator stopped her. Ms. Cross, Mr. Moretti left instructions that you stay in the building. I'm visiting my mother at the hospice. I'll be back. I'm sorry, ma'am, but look, I appreciate that you have a job to do, but my mother is dying and I haven't seen her since I moved into this building. So either you let me leave or you call Vincent and ask him if he really wants to be the person who keeps a daughter from her dying mother. Elena held his gaze. Your choice. The guard hesitated, then stepped aside. I'm sending 2 men with you. Fine. She rode down with 2 expressionless men in suits who looked like they could break her in half without trying. They followed her to a car, climbed in on either side of her. The driver pulled away from the curb, and Elena tried not to feel like a prisoner. St. Catherine's looked different in daylight. The private wing was on the top floor, all windows and modern furniture, and an entirely different atmosphere from the regular hospice where her mother had been. A nurse showed her to the room. Margaret Cross lay in a bed that looked actually comfortable, surrounded by equipment that was newer, cleaner. The room had a window with a view of trees instead of a parking lot. Her mother was awake, looking around with confusion. Mom? Margaret's eyes found her. Recognition flickered. Elena, what is this place? It's the private wing. You were moved yesterday. Elena pulled a chair close, took her mother's hand. How are you feeling? Confused. They said someone paid for this, that all the bills are taken care of. Her mother's grip was weak but present. What did you do? I got help. From who? Elena couldn't meet her mother's eyes. Someone who could afford it. Elena Marie Cross, look at me. Her mother's voice still had that sharp edge she remembered from childhood, even weakened by illness. What did you do? Nothing illegal. Nothing I'm ashamed of. Someone offered to help and I accepted. That's all. Who is he? Why do you assume it's a he? Because I know you, and I know that tone. Her mother studied her face. What's his name? Vincent. And what does this Vincent want in return? Elena thought about the kiss that morning, about 3 days in his world, seeing things she couldn't unsee, about the way he'd looked at her like she was the only real thing in his life. I'm still figuring that out. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she squeezed Elena's hand with what little strength she had. Be careful, baby. People don't give things away for nothing. There's always a price. I know, Mom. Do you? Because you look at me like you're already in too deep to get out. Maybe I am. Then make sure he's worth it. Whatever you're paying, whatever you're risking, make sure he's worth the cost. They sat together for an hour talking about nothing important. The nurses here were kinder, the food was better. Small mercies that wouldn't change the outcome but made the waiting easier. Elena's phone buzzed. Vincent. Where are you? Visiting my mother. I told your guard you were supposed to stay at the apartment. I don't take orders well. You should probably know that about me. A pause. Then, I'm coming there. You don't need to... 30 minutes. He ended the conversation. Elena sighed and looked up to find her mother watching her. He's coming here? Apparently. I want to meet him. Mom, you're tired. I want to meet the man who paid off $60,000 to help my daughter. I think I've earned that right. Elena couldn't argue with that. Vincent arrived exactly 30 minutes later. Elena met him in the hallway, flanked by the same 2 guards who'd brought her. You left the apartment. His voice was tight. I told you. I know what you told me, and I know what I told you about staying somewhere safe. He gripped her arm, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make his point. You could have been followed, targeted. Do you understand that? I understand that my mother is dying and I needed to see her. Your world doesn't stop that. Nothing stops that. Vincent exhaled slowly, released her arm. You're right. I'm sorry, when my guy told me you'd left, all I could think was that someone had gotten to you. I'm fine. Your security detail is very thorough. She paused. My mother wants to meet you. What? She knows someone paid the debt. She wants to meet you. Elena, please, it's important to her, and after everything you've done, I think you can handle 5 minutes with a dying woman. He looked like he wanted to argue. Then he nodded. Margaret Cross watched them enter with sharp eyes that hadn't dimmed despite everything the cancer had taken. Elena saw her mother assess Vincent in seconds. The expensive suit, the controlled movements, the danger that clung to him like cologne. Mrs. Cross. Vincent stopped at the foot of her bed. It's an honor to meet you. Is it? Margaret's voice was weak but clear. Most people say that when they want something. What do you want, mister? Moretti?
Mom, let him answer, Elena. Her mother's eyes never left Vincent. Well? Vincent was quiet for a moment.
When he spoke, his voice had lost its usual calculated edge. I want your daughter to have choices, to not be crushed under debt she didn't deserve, to see you in comfort instead of watching you die in a place that treats people like numbers. He met Margaret's gaze steadily. I want her to not have to suffer because the world is unfair and broken. That's very noble. Except I don't believe you're a noble man. I'm not. Then what's the real reason? Because she reminds me of someone I couldn't save. And because when I look at her, I see something I thought had died in me a long time ago. What's that? Hope. The word hung in the air. Elena's breath caught. Margaret studied Vincent for a long moment. Then she looked at Elena. He's dangerous. I know. He's going to hurt you. Maybe not intentionally, but his world will. I know that too. And you're staying anyway. Yes, her mother sighed. Then I guess all I can do is tell you to be careful and to come visit me more often. I'd like to know my daughter before I go. Elena's eyes burned. I will. I promise. Vincent stepped forward. Mrs. Cross, I give you my word. Elena will want for nothing. Not care for you, not resources, not protection. Whatever she needs, she'll have it. And what do you get in return? Her company, her choice to stay. That's all. I don't believe that's all. But I appreciate the lie. Margaret smiled faintly. Take care of her, Mr. Moretti. She's tougher than she looks, but she's still my daughter. I will. They left shortly after. Vincent was quiet on the drive back, his hand resting on Elena's knee. Finally, he spoke. Your mother's formidable. She raised me alone. You have to be formidable to survive that. She loves you very much. I know. Elena looked out the window, watching the city pass. Vincent, what you said in there, about hope, did you mean it? I don't say things I don't mean. Then what happens when I disappoint you? When I'm not whatever you think you see in me? He was quiet for a long moment. Then I'll deal with it. But I don't think that's going to happen. How can you be so sure? Because I've spent 15 years reading people, knowing when they're lying, when they're playing an angle, when they're going to betray me. And everything about you is exactly what it appears to be. That's rare, Elena. That's precious. I'm not precious. I'm broke and desperate and making decisions that will probably destroy me. Maybe. Or maybe you're saving yourself in the only way available. His hand tightened on her knee. I won't pretend this is safe. I won't pretend I'm a good choice, but I will protect you with everything I have. That's what scares me, that I'm starting to believe you. They returned to the penthouse. Elena felt the weight of the day settling into her bones. The kiss that morning, her mother's warnings, Vincent's words about hope. Too much, too fast. Vincent's phone rang as they walked in. He glanced at it, frowned. I need to take this. He disappeared into his office. Elena heard his voice rise, anger, frustration, something close to fear. When he emerged 10 minutes later, his expression was dark. We have a problem. Elena's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? The people who hit my warehouse. They're making their next move, and they're coming for you. What? How do you... I have sources, people who tell me things before they happen. Someone put a contract out, $20,000 for information on your location, $50 if they bring you in alive. His hands were shaking slightly. They want to use you against me. Then send me away. Like you said, it won't work. They already know too much. They'll find you wherever you go. Vincent crossed the room, gripped her shoulders. Listen to me. We're leaving, tonight. I have a property outside the city, secure, off any records. We go there. We stay there until this is resolved. How long will that take? However long it takes me to find who's behind this and end them. Elena's pulse hammered. End them. Yes, permanently. That's the only way this stops. His eyes were hard. I won't let them take you. I won't let them hurt you. Whatever I have to do, whoever I have to kill, I'll do it. Do you understand? She should be horrified, should pull away from this man who was talking about murder like it was a business transaction. Instead, she nodded. When do we leave? 2 hours. Pack what you need. We might be gone for a while. Elena went to the guest room where she'd left her bag. Her hand shook as she threw clothes inside. This was real now, not abstract danger, not veiled threats. Real people wanted to hurt her, kill her maybe, all because she'd gotten involved with Vincent Moretti. She heard a crash from the living room, rushed out to find Vincent throwing his phone across the room, breathing hard. What happened? They moved faster than I expected. 2 of my people are dead. They were watching my warehouse on 5th, the one they didn't hit before. This was a coordinated strike, planned. Who's behind it? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw something close to fear in his eyes. Elena, I need you to know. If they get to you, if something happens before I can stop this, don't. No, listen to me. If they take you, don't resist. Don't fight them. Do whatever they say. Give them whatever information they want. Your life is worth more than my secrets. Vincent, promise me. I promise. He pulled her against him, held her tight enough that she could barely breathe. She felt his heart racing against hers. I'm going to end this, quickly, and then we're going to figure out what the hell this is between us. But first, I need to keep you alive. Then let's go, now, before they get any closer. Vincent pulled back, nodded. Get your bag. We leave in 15 minutes. Elena grabbed her things, met him at the door where 2 new guards waited, bigger, harder looking than the ones before. Vincent handed her into the car like she was made of glass. They drove through the city as night fell. Elena watched the lights blur past, trying to process everything. A week ago, she'd been a waitress. Now she was fleeing the city with a crime boss who'd just promised to kill people to keep her safe. The rational part of her brain screamed that this was insane. But the rest of her, the part that had felt Vincent's fear when he held her, the part that had seen his desperation to protect her, that part whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was exactly where she needed to be, even if it killed her. They drove for over an hour, leaving the city behind, heading into hills where houses became sparse and roads turned to gravel. Finally, they pulled up to a gate. Vincent entered a code. The gate swung open. The house beyond was modern but isolated, surrounded by trees, security cameras visible on every corner. Vincent's guards swept through first, checking rooms, securing exits. Only when they gave the all-clear did Vincent let Elena inside. It was smaller than the penthouse, but still luxurious. Open floor plan, massive windows that probably offered stunning views in daylight, furniture that looked barely used. This is your safe house? One of them. Nobody knows about this place except my most trusted people. We'll be safe here. Vincent moved through the space, checking windows, testing locks. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs. Take whichever you want. Where will you be? Downstairs. Working. I need to figure out who's behind this and how to stop them. Elena set down her bag. Can I help? No, this part you don't need to see. Vincent, I'm already in this. Hiding me from the details doesn't change that. He turned to face her. In the dim light, he looked exhausted and dangerous, and something else she couldn't name. The things I'm going to do to find these people, the calls I'm going to make, the orders I'm going to give, you don't want to be part of that. Because it involves violence. Yes, significant violence, the kind that doesn't have easy answers or clean resolutions. He crossed to her, cupped her face. I'm trying to preserve whatever part of your soul hasn't been contaminated by my world yet. Let me do that. My soul is already contaminated. I stayed, remember? I chose this. You chose me. That doesn't mean you chose to watch me become the monster everyone thinks I am. Elena reached up, covered his hands with hers. What if I don't think you're a monster? Then you're not paying attention. Or maybe you're not either. She pulled his hands down but didn't let go. Do what you need to do. I'll be upstairs. But Vincent, don't shut me out completely. Don't make decisions about what I can handle. Let me choose that for myself. He studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay. But if I tell you to leave the room, you leave. No arguments. Deal. Vincent kissed her forehead, soft, almost gentle, then disappeared into what looked like an office. Elena heard his voice through the door, cold and commanding, giving orders she suspected would result in pain for someone. She went upstairs, found a bedroom with a view of the trees, sat on the bed and called the hospice. "Hi, this is Elena Cross. I just wanted to check on my mother." "She's sleeping, Ms. Cross. Had a good day. Ate well. The nurses said she seemed more at peace." "Thank you. Can you tell her I'll visit soon?" "Of course." Elena ended the call and lay back on the bed. Her mother was at peace. The debt was gone. She was safe, at least for now, in a house guarded by men who'd kill to protect her. So why did she feel like she was falling? Downstairs, Vincent's voice rose, sharp, angry. Elena heard fragments through the floor. "I don't care what it cost. Find him. Yes, all of them. Make it clear what happens when someone moves against me." This was the reality of Vincent Moretti, not the man who cooked pasta or held her hand in the darkness, the man who ordered deaths like other people ordered coffee. And Elena, lying in his safe house, protected by his resources, marked by his enemies, realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She was his now, not in the way he'd probably meant when he'd made his offer, not as property or possession, but as something that mattered to him, something worth protecting, something worth killing for. And the worst part? She wasn't sure she minded. Elena woke to gunfire. Not close, somewhere outside, muffled by distance and walls, but unmistakable. She sat up in the darkness, heart slamming against her ribs, trying to orient herself. The safe house. Vincent downstairs, the contract on her head. More shots. Then shouting. She scrambled out of bed, grabbed her phone. 3 a.m. She'd been asleep maybe 2 hours. Her door flew open and Vincent was there, gun in hand, face hard. "Bathroom. Now, lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you." "What's happening?" "They found us. I don't know how, but they're here." He pulled her toward the bathroom, shoved her inside. "Lock it. If anyone comes through that door who isn't me, there's a panel under the sink. Press it. It opens to a crawl space that leads outside. Run, and don't look back." "Vincent, do it, Elena. Please." He shut the door. She locked it with shaking hands, heard his footsteps running back downstairs. More gunfire, closer now. Glass breaking, men shouting orders she couldn't make out. Elena pressed herself against the bathroom wall, phone clutched in her hand like it could protect her. She should call someone. The police. Anyone. But what would she say? That she was hiding in a crime boss's safe house while people tried to kill her? Explosion shook the house. Elena screamed before she could stop herself, clapping a hand over her mouth. Something was burning. She could smell smoke seeping under the door. Minutes passed like hours. The gunfire continued, sporadic now. Then silence. Heavy, terrible silence. Elena waited, barely breathing. The silence stretched. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. Then, finally, a knock on the bathroom door. "Elena, it's me. Open the door." Vincent's voice, but she'd heard stories about people being forced to say things, about tricks and traps. "How do I know it's you?" "Because I'm the only person who knows about the panic button your mother had installed in her hospital room, the one she was too proud to ever use." A pause. "And because I'm asking you to trust me." Elena unlocked the door. Vincent stood there covered in blood. Not his own, she realized after a second of pure panic. His suit jacket was gone, shirt torn, face smudged with smoke and something darker. But he was alive. Whole. "Are you hurt?" His hands were on her face, checking her over. "No, I'm fine. What happened?" "They came with 8 men. Military training, good equipment. Someone bankrolled this." His jaw was tight. "We took down 6. 2 escaped. My guards are pursuing them now." "Your guards, are they—" "1 dead, 2 injured. Could have been worse." He pulled her out of the bathroom, through the bedroom. "We need to leave, now. They know this location. They'll send more." Elena grabbed her bag from where she'd dropped it, followed Vincent downstairs. The living room was a war zone. Bullet holes in the walls, shattered glass everywhere, furniture overturned. A body lay near the door, face down, blood pooling beneath it. Elena's stomach lurched. She looked away. "Don't look," Vincent said quietly. "Just keep moving." They went out through the back. A car waited, engine running. Different guards than before, these ones looking grim and alert. Vincent pushed Elena into the back seat, climbed in after her. Where are we going? Somewhere they won't find. Somewhere I should have taken you from the start. He pulled out his phone, made a call. It's me. Activate the Riverside location. Full security. I'm bringing her there. I don't care what it costs. Do it. He ended the call. In the dim interior of the car, his face looked haggard. I'm sorry, Elena blinked. For what? For this. All of it. For not anticipating they'd move this fast. For underestimating how badly they want to hurt me. His hand found hers in the darkness. For dragging you into a war you had no part in starting. You didn't drag me. I came willingly. You didn't know what you were agreeing to. Neither did you. Elena squeezed his hand. Vincent, I'm scared. I won't pretend I'm not. But I'm not sorry I stayed, even now, even after tonight. I'm not sorry. He looked at her like she'd said something in a language he didn't speak. Then he pulled her against him, held her tight while the city lights blurred past the windows. They drove for hours, leaving the city completely behind, heading into countryside Elena barely recognized. Dawn was breaking when they finally pulled up to what looked like a warehouse. Old, industrial, the kind of place that should have been abandoned. It wasn't. Guards met them at the entrance, heavily armed, communicating through earpieces. They escorted Vincent and Elena through multiple security checkpoints, biometric scanners, metal detectors, cameras everywhere, before finally leading them into an elevator that descended. Down, not up. The elevator opened into an underground facility that looked like something out of a movie. Concrete corridors, reinforced doors, security stations at every turn. This wasn't a safe house. This was a bunker. What is this place? Somewhere I built after Marcus died. Somewhere I swore I'd never let anyone breach. Vincent led her through the corridors, past rooms she couldn't identify. It's off every grid. No records, no paper trail. As far as the world knows, this place doesn't exist. He stopped at a door, entered a code. It opened into living quarters, surprisingly comfortable, with a bed, small kitchen, bathroom. Everything someone would need to live underground indefinitely. This is where you'll stay. You'll be safe here, I promise. Elena looked around, reality sinking in. For how long? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. Vincent moved to a panel on the wall, pressed buttons. A screen lit up showing multiple camera feeds. I need to find who's behind this, who's funding them, who gave them intel good enough to find my safe house. That takes time. While I hide underground like a prisoner. While you stay alive. His voice was sharp. Elena, they tried to kill us tonight. They came with military-grade weapons and tactical training. This isn't street thugs or desperate criminals. This is organized, professional, well-funded. Someone with serious resources wants you dead or captured. Until I know who and why, you can't be anywhere they might find you. And you? Where will you be? Hunting them down. He turned from the screen to face her. I'm going to find every person involved in tonight. Every person who gave orders, who pulled triggers, who provided information. And I'm going to make them regret the day they decided to move against me. Elena heard the promise of violence in his voice, saw it in the set of his jaw, the coldness in his eyes. This was Vincent Moretti at his most dangerous, and somehow she wasn't afraid of him. She should be. Normal people would be. But standing in an underground bunker, looking at a man covered in someone else's blood who was promising to kill for her, Elena felt something else entirely. Safe. How long before you leave? An hour. I need to clean up, make some calls, coordinate with my people. He paused. There's food in the kitchen, books on the shelf, Wi-Fi password is on the desk. You won't be completely cut off. Just mostly. Yes. He crossed to her, hands gentle on her shoulders. I know this isn't what you signed up for. I know it's not fair. But I need you to trust me one more time. Stay here. Stay safe. Let me handle this. And if something happens to you, if you don't come back, then my people know to let you out. You walk away with enough money to start over anywhere you want. Your mother's care continues. You're free. I don't want to be free. I want you to come back. Vincent's expression cracked slightly. Elena, no, listen to me. I get it. This is dangerous. People are trying to kill us. You need to fix it. But don't talk about what happens if you die like it's just logistics. Like I wouldn't... Her voice broke. like I wouldn't care. He pulled her into his arms, buried his face in her hair. She felt him shaking slightly, whether from adrenaline or emotion she couldn't tell. I'll come back, I promise. But you need to understand, the things I'm about to do, the man you'll see when I return, he might not be someone you recognize. I'll take that risk. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Vincent pulled back, kissed her forehead, and left. Elena was alone in the underground bunker with nothing but her thoughts and the weight of everything that had happened in the past 4 days. She should be hysterical, should be demanding to leave, to go back to her small, safe life. Instead, she unpacked her bag, made coffee in the small kitchen, and tried to figure out what the hell she'd become. Hours passed. Elena tried to read, couldn't focus. Watched the security feeds Vincent had left active. Seeing guards patrol corridors she couldn't map in her head. Called the hospice to check on her mother. She's doing well, Ms. Cross. Asking for you. Tell her I'll visit soon. Tell her I love her. Of course. The lie tasted bitter. She couldn't visit. Couldn't risk leading anyone to her mother. Couldn't do anything but wait in this underground tomb while Vincent waged war on her behalf. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Elena almost didn't answer, then thought better of it. Hello? Is this Elena Cross? A woman's voice, professional, unfamiliar. Who's asking? My name is Sarah Chen. I'm a detective with the City Police Department. I'm investigating several murders that occurred last night, and your name came up in our inquiries. Elena's blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Ms. Cross, we know you've been associating with Vincent Moretti. We know you were present at one of the attack sites. We need to speak with you. I want a lawyer. You're not under arrest. We just want to talk, to understand your connection to Mr. Moretti and the events of last night. I have nothing to say. Miss Cross, please. If you're in danger, we can help. If he's coercing you. Elena ended the call. Her hands were shaking. The police were looking for her, connecting her to Vincent, to the violence. Everything was spiraling out of control faster than she could process. Her phone rang again. Same number. She didn't answer. A text came through. Please call me back. You're not in trouble. I want to help. Elena deleted it. She spent the rest of the day pacing the small space, jumping at every sound. Evening came. No word from Vincent. She tried calling him, straight to voicemail. Then, near midnight, the door opened. Vincent walked in looking like he'd been through hell. Fresh blood on his clothes. Definitely his this time, seeping through a bandage on his left arm. Exhaustion carved into every line of his face. But alive. He was alive. You're hurt. It's nothing. Grazed me. Already stitched up. He sank onto the couch like his legs wouldn't hold him anymore. It's done. Mostly. Elena sat beside him. What happened? I found them. The men behind it. 3 different operations, all coordinated by one person, Dmitry Kozlov, Russian mob. He's been trying to move into my territory for months. I turned him down. This was his response. Is he dead? No. But he will be. I'm just deciding how public to make it. Vincent leaned his head back, closed his eyes. I took out his operations tonight. 4 locations. Burned them to the ground. Killed or captured everyone involved. Left messages he can't misinterpret. And now we wait. He'll either back down or escalate. If he backs down, you can go back to a normal life. If he escalates, Vincent opened his eyes, looked at her. If he escalates, this becomes a full war, and you're stuck in it until one of us is dead. Elena absorbed this. The police called me today. Vincent went very still. What did they say? They wanted to talk about you, about last night. I didn't tell them anything. Good. He sat up, wincing. They can't connect you to any of this without evidence. Keep it that way. Don't talk to them. Don't answer questions. If they push, lawyer up immediately. This is my life now? Hiding from police? Waiting to see if a Russian mobster decides to start a war? Yes, this is your life now. Vincent turned to face her fully. And I'm giving you one last chance to walk away from it. I can get you somewhere safe. Somewhere far from me and this mess. New identity if you need it. You'd never see me again, but you'd be free. Why are you offering this now? Because I love you. The words hung in the air between them. Elena forgot how to breathe. What? I love you. I didn't mean to. Didn't plan on it. But somewhere between that first dinner and tonight, watching you handle everything I threw at you without breaking, I fell in love with you. His voice was rough. And because I love you, I'm giving you an out. A real one. Before this gets worse. Before loving me destroys you completely. Elena's eyes burned. You don't get to decide that. Someone has to. No, I decide. Me. Not you, not circumstances, not the danger. Me. She grabbed his face, made him look at her. I'm scared. I'm terrified. But I'm not leaving. Not now. Not when you need me. Elena, I love you too. I don't know when it happened. Maybe that first night when you saw through everything I was pretending. Maybe yesterday when you held my hand like I was the only thing keeping you human. But I love you, and I'm staying. Vincent kissed her then, desperate and raw, tasting like blood and smoke and something that felt like salvation. Elena kissed him back, pouring everything she couldn't say into it, all her fear and hope, and the strange certainty that this broken, dangerous man was somehow exactly where she belonged. They broke apart, both breathing hard. You're making a mistake. Then we'll make it together. Vincent pulled her close, and Elena felt the tension drain from his body. They sat like that for a long time, neither speaking, just existing in the small pocket of safety they'd carved out of the chaos. Finally, Vincent spoke. I need to shower, change these bandages. Then we need to talk about what happens next. Okay? He stood, swayed slightly. Elena steadied him. When was the last time you slept? I don't remember. 30 hours? 40? Shower, then sleep. The talking can wait. I have things to... They can wait too. You're no good to anyone if you collapse. Vincent looked like he wanted to argue, then nodded. He disappeared into the bathroom. Elena heard water running. She found clean clothes in a closet, men's sizes, but they'd work, and left them by the bathroom door. When he came out 20 minutes later, cleaned up and bandaged properly, he looked marginally more human. The bed's big enough for both of us, Elena said. If you want company. I don't want to. We shouldn't. I'm not asking for sex. I'm asking if you want to not be alone. There's a difference. Vincent studied her face. Then he nodded. They lay down together, Elena curled against his uninjured side, his arm around her. In the quiet darkness of the underground bunker, surrounded by concrete and security systems, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Tell me about your brother, she said quietly. Vincent was silent for so long she thought he'd fallen asleep. Then softly, Marcus was everything I'm not. Emotional, open. He believed people could change, that love was worth dying for. His voice cracked slightly. He was wrong, but I envied him for believing it. What was she like? The woman he loved. Beautiful, intelligent, wrong in every way that mattered. She worked for Kozlov's organization. Marcus thought he could save her, thought their love was stronger than loyalty, than business, than reality. Vincent's arm tightened around Elena. He proposed to her. 3 days later, she helped set up the ambush that killed him. Did you kill her? Yes, personally, slowly. It didn't bring him back. Elena should be horrified, should pull away from this man who just admitted to torture and murder. Instead, she pressed closer. I'm not her. I'm not going to betray you. You can't promise that. People change. Circumstances change. Love isn't enough to hold things together when the world tears at them. Maybe not, but we can try. Vincent kissed the top of her head. You're too good for this life. That's not your decision to make. They drifted into silence. Elena felt Vincent's breathing slow, deepen. He was asleep within minutes, exhausted beyond his ability to fight it. She stayed awake longer, listening to his heartbeat, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. A week ago, she'd been drowning in debt and desperation. Now she was underground with a crime boss who'd killed for her, started a war for her, loved her. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was somehow exactly right. Elena closed her eyes and let sleep take her. She woke to Vincent's phone ringing. He grabbed it immediately, awake and alert in a way that spoke of years training himself to be ready for danger at any moment. When
How many? His face went dark. I'm on my way.
He was up and moving before Elena could fully process being awake. What happened? Kozlov's response. He hit 3 of my operations simultaneously, killed 15 people, burned everything. Vincent was pulling on clothes, checking weapons. This is the escalation. This is war. What are you going to do? End it. Tonight. I'm taking everyone I have. We're going after his headquarters, his people, everything. By morning, either he's dead or I am. Elena's stomach dropped.
Vincent, stay here. You'll be safe. My guards know what to do if... He stopped, looked at her. If I don't come back, tell your mother I'm sorry. Tell her I tried to give you better than this. Don't do that. Don't talk like you're already dead. I'm being realistic. He crossed to her, cupped her face. I love you. That's real. Maybe the only real thing in my entire life. But love doesn't stop bullets. It doesn't win wars. Then don't go. Find another way. There is no other way.
Not anymore. He kissed her, deep and desperate. I'll come back if I can. I promise I'll try. Then he was gone. Elena stood alone in the bunker, listening to the door seal behind him, and felt her world fracture. She should do something, call someone, find a way to help. But she was trapped underground with no resources, no way to reach him, nothing but time and fear. Hours crawled past. Elena paced. Called the hospice. Her mother was sleeping. Stared at the security feeds showing empty corridors. Waited for news that didn't come. Dawn broke somewhere above ground. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. A photo attached. She opened it and her blood turned to ice. Vincent, on his knees, surrounded by armed men, blood on his face, hands bound behind his back. The text below read, Trade. You for him. Pier 17. 2 hours. Come alone or he dies. Elena's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. This was it. The choice she'd known was coming from the moment she'd said yes to that first dinner. Her safety for his life. There was no question what she'd do. She grabbed her jacket, opened the door, and headed for the elevator. A guard stopped her immediately. Miss Cross, Mr. Moretti's orders are irrelevant. I'm leaving. I can't let you... Elena pulled out her phone, showed him the photo. They have him. They want me in exchange. Are you really going to stand there and let him die? The guard's face went pale. He stepped aside. Elena rode the elevator up, emerged into daylight for the first time in a day and a half, and found a car waiting. Different driver, same grim expression. Pier 17, she said, and hurry. The drive took 40 minutes. Elena spent it texting the number back. I'm coming. Don't hurt him. No response. They reached the pier, industrial, abandoned, perfect for an ambush. The driver pulled up to the entrance. Miss Cross, you should wait for backup. There is no backup, just me. Elena got out of the car, walked toward the warehouse at the end of the pier. Men materialized from the shadows, 5 of them, all armed. One stepped forward, older, gray hair, expensive suit, cold eyes that assessed her like she was livestock. Mrs. Cross, punctual. I appreciate that in people. Russian accent, thick and deliberate. Kozlov. Mr. Moretti is inside, alive as promised, though perhaps not for much longer unless we reach an agreement. I'm here. Let him go. Not quite so simple. Kozlov smiled. No warmth in it. You see, your presence here creates interesting opportunity. Vincent Moretti loves you. That makes you valuable leverage. I could kill him now, keep you, ensure he dies knowing he failed to protect you. Or, he paused, theatrical. You could convince him to step aside, to give me his territory, his operations, everything. In exchange, you both walk away alive. He'll never agree to that. Then he dies, and you watch. Kozlov gestured. Let's go inside. Time for reunion. They marched her into the warehouse. Vincent was exactly where the photo had shown him, on his knees, blood dripping from a cut above his eye, hands bound. When he saw her, his expression went through several stages. Relief, horror, fury. Elena, what the hell? You were supposed to stay? They had you. I don't care. You should have... I wasn't going to let you die. She turned to Kozlov. I'm here. Let him go. Do whatever you want with me, but let him go." "How touching." Kozlov pulled out a gun, pressed it to Vincent's head. "Here's what happens now. You watch while I put bullet in his brain. Then I decide whether to keep you or kill you too. Either way, Vincent Moretti's empire crumbles without him." "Don't do this," Elena said. "Please, I'll give you anything. Money, information, whatever you want. Just don't kill him. What I want is his territory. Can you give me that?" "Yes." Vincent's voice was rough. "Give her to me for 5 minutes. Untie me. Let me tell her goodbye, then I'll sign over everything." Kozlov considered this, then nodded. 5 minutes. But my men stay close." They cut Vincent's bonds. He stood, swaying slightly, and pulled Elena into his arms. "You shouldn't have come," he whispered against her hair. "I couldn't leave you." "I know, that's the problem." His hands moved over her back, reassuring touches, or so it seemed. "I love you. Whatever happens next, remember that." "Vincent," he kissed her, deep and desperate and final, and slipped something into her jacket pocket. A gun. Elena's breath caught. Vincent pulled back just enough to meet her eyes, and she saw the plan there. The desperate, dangerous plan. "When I move, drop," he whispered. "Don't hesitate." "Time's up," Kozlov said. Vincent turned. "You want my empire? Come take it." Then everything happened at once. Vincent lunged at Kozlov. Elena dropped to the ground, pulling the gun from her pocket. Gunfire erupted, deafening in the enclosed space. She fired blindly toward Kozlov's men, saw one go down. Vincent had Kozlov, both of them grappling for the gun. More shots. Elena kept firing, hands shaking, tears streaming down her face. Another man fell. Then another. A gunshot close to her head made her ears ring. She rolled, fired again. The slide locked back. Empty. The warehouse fell silent. Elena looked up. Vincent stood over Kozlov's body, breathing hard, covered in blood. The other men were down, dead or dying. It was over. Vincent crossed to her, pulled her up, checked her over frantically. "Are you hit? Elena, are you—" "I'm okay. I'm okay." She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Is Kozlov?" "Dead. They're all dead." Vincent pulled her against him. "It's over. It's finally over." Sirens in the distance, getting closer. "We need to go. Now." Vincent took her hand, led her toward a back exit. They emerged into daylight, into chaos, into a world that had just shifted on its axis. Elena had just killed people, shot them, watched them die. She should feel something, horror, regret, remorse. All she felt was relief that Vincent was alive. What did that make her? They made it to a car. One of Vincent's appeared from nowhere with perfect timing. Drove away from the pier as police cars screamed past in the opposite direction. Vincent held her hand the entire drive back to the bunker. Neither of them spoke. What was there to say? Only when they were safely underground again did he finally break the silence. "You saved my life. You saved mine first. That's not the same. You killed for me, Elena. There's no coming back from that." "I know." She met his eyes. "I don't want to come back from it." Vincent stared at her. Then he pulled her into his arms and held on like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to earth. And maybe she was. Maybe they both were. Two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness and decided that was enough, even if it damned them both. The police came 3 days later. Not to the bunker. Vincent's lawyers handled that, meeting them at a neutral location with paperwork and alibis that would have been impressive if Elena hadn't known they were mostly fabricated. She sat in the underground living quarters, listening to Vincent on the phone with his attorney, watching him orchestrate a defense that turned her from shooter to victim. She was kidnapped, held against her will. She defended herself when given the opportunity. That's the story. That's what the evidence will show. Elena should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt numb. She'd killed 2 people, shot them without hesitation, watched them bleed out on a warehouse floor, and the only thing she regretted was that there hadn't been more bullets in the gun. What did that make her? Vincent ended his call, came to sit beside her on the couch. He looked better than he had 3 days ago, the cut above his eye healing, the exhaustion slowly fading from his features. But there was something new in his eyes when he looked at her. Not pity, not regret, something closer to recognition. The police want to interview you. My lawyer will be present. You'll tell them exactly what happened. Kozlov's men took you. You escaped during the chaos. You don't remember much. Shock and trauma. They'll buy it. Will they? They'll have to. There's no evidence connecting you to anything except being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He took her hand. Elena, you're going to be fine. I promise. I don't feel fine. I know, that's normal. The first time you kill someone, don't. She pulled her hand away. Don't tell me it gets easier. Don't tell me I'll stop seeing their faces. I don't want it to get easier. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then what do you want? I want to see my mother. I want to leave this bunker. I want to remember what daylight feels like. Her voice cracked. I want to stop feeling like I'm drowning. Okay? He stood, pulled out his phone. We'll go see your mother today. I'll arrange security. I don't want security. I don't want guards following me everywhere. I want to be normal again. Elena, you can't. I know. She looked up at him, tears burning her eyes. I know I can't go back to normal. I know what I did, what I am now, but I need to pretend, just for a few hours, that I'm still the person I was before all of this. Vincent crouched in front of her, hands on her knees. You're still that person. Circumstances changed, actions changed, but you, the core of who you are, that hasn't changed. How do you know? Because I've watched you. You're still kind, still honest, still worried about your mother more than yourself. Killing those men didn't make you a monster, Elena. It made you a survivor. Is that what you tell yourself? That you're a survivor, not a monster? No? He said it simply, without defensiveness. I know what I am, but you're different. You killed to save someone you love. I kill because it's Tuesday and someone inconvenienced me. There's a difference. Elena wiped her eyes. I want to see her. Today, please. Then we'll go. They left the bunker mid-morning, emerging into sunlight that felt almost painful after days underground. 2 guards accompanied them despite Elena's protests, but they stayed distant, invisible, unless you knew to look for them. The hospice felt like another world, quiet, peaceful, untouched by the violence that had consumed Elena's life. The nurse at the desk smiled when she saw her. Ms. Cross, your mother will be so happy. She's been asking about you. Guilt twisted in Elena's stomach. How is she? Good days and bad days? Today's good. Go on up. Margaret Cross sat propped up in bed, looking out the window at the trees beyond. She turned when Elena entered, and her face lit up in a way that made Elena want to cry. There's my girl. I was starting to think you'd forgotten about me. Never. Elena crossed to the bed, hugged her mother carefully. She felt so fragile, like she might break with too much pressure. I'm sorry I haven't visited more. You're here now. That's what matters. Margaret's eyes found Vincent, who'd stayed near the door. And you brought your young man. Mom, this is Vincent. Vincent, my mother. Mrs. Cross. Vincent approached the bed with a deference Elena hadn't seen in him before. It's good to see you again. Is it? Last time you were here, my daughter looked terrified. Now she looks traumatized. Want to explain that? Vincent glanced at Elena, who shook her head slightly. Her mother didn't need to know, didn't need the weight of what had happened, but Margaret had always been sharper than people expected. Something happened, something bad. She reached for Elena's hand, held it tight despite her weakness. Are you safe now? Yes, I'm safe. Is it over? Whatever this was. Elena looked at Vincent. He nodded slightly. It's over, Mom. I promise. Margaret studied them both for a long moment. Then she sighed. You know, when your father died, people kept telling me I was strong, that I was handling it so well. Truth was, I was barely holding together. I just got good at pretending because I had you to take care of. She squeezed Elena's hand. You're doing the same thing now, pretending you're okay when you're not. But baby, you don't have to pretend with me. Elena's composure cracked. The tears she'd been holding back for 3 days came flooding out. She buried her face in her mother's shoulder, sobbing like a child, while Margaret stroked her hair and murmured comforting nonsense. Vincent stepped out, giving them privacy. When Elena finally pulled herself together, Her mother was looking at her with eyes that knew too much. Tell me. I can't. You don't want to know. I'm dying, Elena. I don't have time for protecting me from hard truths. Tell me what happened. So Elena did. Not everything, not the details of violence, not the bodies, but enough. The danger, the kidnapping, the choice she'd made. Her mother listened without interrupting, her expression growing more troubled with each word. When Elena finished, Margaret was quiet for a long time. You killed people. Yes. To save him. Yes. Do you regret it? Elena thought about this, really thought about it. I regret that I had to, but I don't regret saving him.
Does that make me a bad person? It makes you human. Her mother's grip tightened. You think I never made hard choices? You think I never did things I wasn't proud of to keep you safe? We all have moments where we become someone we don't recognize. The question is what we do with them. What did you do? I forgave myself eventually, and I moved forward. Margaret's eyes were fierce despite the cancer eating her alive. You love him. It wasn't a question, but Elena answered anyway. Yes. And he loves you. He says he does. I can see it. The way he looks at you, like you're the only thing keeping him human. Her mother paused. That's a lot of weight to carry, baby. Are you sure you want that burden? I don't think it's a choice anymore. I think I'm in too deep to get out. Then stop trying to get out. Stop fighting what you've become. Accept it and figure out how to live with it. Margaret's voice was getting weaker. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. Can you look in the mirror and live with what you see? I don't know yet. Then that's your answer to work toward. Her mother's eyes were closing. Bring him back in. I want to talk to him. Mom, you should rest. Elena, bring him in. Elena found Vincent in the hallway, staring out a window. She wants to talk to you. Is that a good idea? Probably not. But she's dying and stubborn, so we don't really have a choice. They went back into the room. Margaret had rallied slightly, fixing Vincent with a look that was pure maternal ferocity. Sit down, Mr. Moretti. Vincent sat. You love my daughter. Yes, ma'am. And you've put her in danger, made her do things she'll have nightmares about for the rest of her life. Yes? No excuses, no justifications, just truth. Good. I appreciate honesty. Margaret's eyes never left his face. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take care of her. Not because I'm asking, because if you don't, if you let her get hurt, if you waste this second chance you've both been given, I will haunt you. I don't care if I'm dead, I will find a way to make your life hell. Vincent's lips twitched, almost a smile. I believe you. I'm serious. So am I. Mrs. Cross, I can't promise Elena a normal life. I can't promise safety or peace or any of the things she deserves. But I can promise that I will protect her with everything I have, that I will never lie to her, and that I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the choice she made to stay. Margaret studied him. Then, slowly, she nodded. That'll do. Now get out. I need to rest, and my daughter needs to stop crying all over my good sheets. They left the hospice an hour later. Elena felt wrung out, but somehow lighter. Her mother knew. Not everything, but enough. And she hadn't condemned her, hadn't told her to run. That was something. Vincent drove them back himself, the guards following in a separate car. They didn't go to the bunker. Instead, Vincent pulled up to the penthouse high-rise, where this had all started barely a week ago. I thought we couldn't come back here. Kozlov's dead. His organization is scattered. The immediate threat is over. Vincent killed the engine. We can't hide forever. Eventually, we have to figure out how to live. They rode the elevator up. The penthouse looked exactly the same, untouched by everything that had happened. Elena wandered through it, feeling like a stranger in a place she'd barely gotten to know. What happens now? She asked. Vincent stood by the windows, looking out at the city. Now we rebuild. My operations took a hit during the war with Kozlov. I need to consolidate power, make sure no one else gets ideas about moving on my territory. That'll take time. And me? What do I do? Whatever you want. Your mother's care is covered.
You have enough money to never work again if you don't want to. Or you can go back to school, start a career, build the life you would have had if you hadn't met me. Elena heard what he wasn't saying. You're giving me an out. I'm giving you a choice, a real one this time. Stay with me and accept everything that means. Or take the life I can give you and walk away clean. After everything we've been through, you think I'd just leave? I think you should. He turned to face her. Elena, I meant what I told your mother. I can't give you normal. I can't give you safe. Every day with me is a risk, another enemy, another threat, another chance that you'll end up dead or traumatized or broken. You deserve better than that. What if I don't want better? What if I want you? Then you're making a mistake. It's my mistake to make. Elena crossed to him, took his hands. Vincent, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. I'm not going to pretend I'm not scared. But I'm also not going to pretend I can walk away from you. Not after everything. Not after... Her voice caught. Not after I've seen who you really are and still chosen to stay. Who am I, Elena? Tell me what you see. She thought about this. Really looked at him, this dangerous, damaged man who'd turned her world upside down. I see someone who's convinced he's a monster but keeps doing things that prove otherwise. Someone who paid off a stranger's debt for no reason except kindness. Someone who risked everything to keep me safe. Someone who loves so fiercely it terrifies him. She reached up, cupped his face. I see someone who's human, flawed and violent and broken, but human. Vincent closed his eyes. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but it'll be my regret, not yours. She pulled him down, kissed him softly. I love you. That's real. Everything else we'll figure out together. He kissed her back, and this time it wasn't desperate or afraid. It was steady, certain. The kiss of two people who'd seen the worst of each other and chosen to stay anyway. They stood there in the penthouse, surrounded by glass and steel and the city lights below, and made a silent promise to each other. Not a perfect promise, not a safe promise, just an honest one. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. The weeks that followed were strange. Elena moved into the penthouse officially, her few possessions looking lost in the massive space. She visited her mother every day, watching her decline with a grief that never got easier. Vincent was gone more than he was home, rebuilding his operations, dealing with rivals who thought Kozlov's death meant weakness. The police investigation into the warehouse shooting faded. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses recanted. Elena gave one statement: kidnapped, traumatized, defended herself in the chaos, and they never called her back. Vincent's lawyers were as good as advertised, but the nightmares didn't stop. Elena woke up gasping at least once a week, seeing the faces of the men she'd killed. Vincent held her through them, never telling her it would get better, just being present. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes it wasn't. 2 months after the warehouse, Margaret Cross died. Elena was holding her hand when it happened. No drama. No last words. Just a soft exhale, and then she was gone. The funeral was small, Elena's few friends from before, some nurses from the hospice. Vincent standing beside her like a silent promise. No one from his world. This was hers. Her grief. Her loss. They buried Margaret on a Tuesday. Elena stood by the grave after everyone else had left, staring at the fresh earth, trying to process that her mother was actually gone. She loved you very much, Vincent said quietly. I know. She wanted you to be happy. I know that too. Are you? Happy? Elena thought about this. I don't know. I'm sad. I'm grieving. But underneath that, she looked up at him. Yeah, I think I am. Is that wrong? No, it's honest. Vincent took her hand. She'd be proud of you. The strength you've shown. The choices you've made. Would she? I'm living with a criminal. I killed people. I'm not exactly the daughter she raised. Oh, you're exactly the daughter she raised. Strong, honest, willing to do hard things to protect people you love. He squeezed her hand. She knew who you were, and she accepted it. That's love, Elena. Not the pretty version, the real one. They stood there until the sun started setting. Then Elena took one last look at her mother's grave and let Vincent lead her home.
Time moved forward because it had no choice.
Elena enrolled in nursing school, something she'd wanted to do before debt had made it impossible. Vincent's operation stabilized. The city found a new equilibrium. Life somehow continued. But Elena found herself restless. The penthouse, as beautiful as it was, felt like a cage. She'd gone from drowning in poverty to drowning in luxury, and neither felt right. 6 months after her mother's death, she came home to find Vincent in his office, surrounded by papers and screens showing security feeds she'd learned not to ask about. "We need to talk." He looked up, immediately alert. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, but I've been thinking." Elena sat across from him. "Your money, your resources, you use them for business, for protection, for building power. But what if we use them for something else?" "Like what?" "Like helping people. People like me. People drowning in medical debt. People who can't afford the care their families need. People the system has failed." She leaned forward. "Vincent, you changed my life. You gave my mother dignity in her final days. What if we could do that for others?" Vincent was quiet, processing this. "A foundation." "Yes, a foundation that pays medical debt, that funds hospice care, that gives people choices when they have none." Elena's voice grew stronger as the idea solidified. "I know it doesn't change what you do. Doesn't make you less dangerous, but it could be something good, something real." "Why?" "Because my mother died peacefully because of you. Because I want that for other people. Because," she struggled for words, "because I need to do something with this life you gave me. Something that matters." Vincent studied her face. Then, slowly, he smiled. A real smile. The kind she still saw too rarely. "Okay. Okay? Let's do it. Build your foundation. Help people. I'll fund it. You run it." He stood, came around the desk. "On one condition." "What?" "We do it together. Not just my money and your management. A real partnership, both of our names on it." "Vincent, your name is associated with—" "I know what my name is associated with, but maybe it's time it stood for something other than fear." He took her hands. "You make me want to be better than I am. This foundation, it won't change what I do to survive in my world, but maybe it can balance the scales a little." Elena felt tears prick her eyes. "You're serious?" "Completely. Though I reserve the right to thoroughly vet anyone we help. I'm not funding operations for my enemies." She laughed. It felt good. "Deal." They launched the Cross Moretti Foundation 3 months later. It started small. A few families helped, some debt erased, nothing flashy. But word spread. People reached out. Stories came in about medical bankruptcies, about choosing between treatment and survival, about dying without dignity because the system demanded payment first. Elena threw herself into it, reviewed applications, made calls, visited hospitals. She met people in the worst moments of their lives and gave them the same impossible gift Vincent had given her: a way out. It didn't erase what she'd done, didn't bring back the men she'd killed, but it felt like redemption anyway. Vincent watched her transform. The trauma didn't disappear. She still had nightmares, still flinched at loud noises, but purpose gave her something to build around it. She was becoming someone new. Not the desperate waitress, not the terrified victim, someone stronger, more certain. Someone who'd looked into the darkness and decided to make light anyway. A year after the warehouse, Vincent came home to find Elena on the couch, laptop open, surrounded by papers. "Working late?" "We just approved funding for a woman in Chicago. Stage 4 cancer, 3 kids. Husband died 2 years ago. She was choosing between chemo and keeping her house." Elena looked up and her eyes were bright. "We're paying for everything. Her treatment, her mortgage, a year of living expenses. She gets to fight without fear." "That's good." "It's more than good, it's—" Elena stopped, emotion choking her. "It's everything." Vincent sat beside her, pulled her close. "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For taking the worst thing that ever happened to you and turning it into something beautiful. For surviving, for building something that matters." "I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have. You're stronger than you think." He paused. "Elena, I need to tell you something." Her stomach dropped at his tone. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. But there are people in my organization who aren't happy about the foundation, who think I'm going soft, that associating my name with charity makes me look weak. Are they right? No. But perception matters in my world, which means I'm going to have to prove I'm not weak. Make some moves, remind people why they fear me. His jaw was tight. It's going to be ugly, violent. You're going to see sides of me we've avoided for the past year. I knew what you were when I chose to stay. Knowing and seeing are different. Elena pulled back to look at him.
Vincent, I'm not naive. I know you do terrible things. I know people die because of you. I've always known. The foundation doesn't change that. It just means we're doing something good too. Can you live with that? The contradiction? Can you? I've been living with it my whole life. Then we'll figure it out together, like we always do. She took his face in her hands. I love you. Not despite who you are. Because of it. All of it. The violence and the vulnerability. The darkness and the light. I chose you knowing exactly what that meant. Vincent kissed her, deep and certain and grateful. Marry me. Elena blinked. What? Marry me. Not because it's romantic or traditional, because I want everyone to know you're mine. Because I want the legal protection for you if something happens to me, because... He stopped, vulnerable in a way she rarely saw. Because I want to choose you every day for the rest of my life, however long that is. That's the least romantic proposal I've ever heard. I'm not a romantic man. No, you're a crime boss with blood on your hands and enemies who want you dead. Yes. And you're offering me a life that will never be safe or normal or easy. Yes. Elena smiled. Then yes, I'll marry you. Vincent stared at her. You're serious. Completely. Though I want a real ring. None of this asking without a ring nonsense. He laughed, actually laughed, and pulled a box from his pocket. Inside was a ring that was both beautiful and practical. A single diamond that would pass as modest, but was probably worth more than Elena's old apartment building. I've been carrying this for 3 months, waiting for the right moment. This was the right moment? Every moment with you is the right moment. He slid the ring onto her finger. We'll do this right. Small wedding, just us and people who actually matter. No spectacle. Sounds perfect. They married 6 weeks later in a judge's office with 2 witnesses Vincent trusted and 1 friend from Elena's nursing program. No white dress. No family. Margaret was gone, and Vincent's family was either dead or estranged. Just 2 people promising to love each other despite everything they knew about each other and themselves. It should have felt incomplete, insufficient. Instead, it felt exactly right. Life settled into a new rhythm. Elena continued her nursing studies, worked at the foundation, visited the hospice where her mother had died, and saw her work reflected in the private wing Vincent's money had built. Vincent managed his empire, made moves that Elena sometimes heard about and sometimes didn't, protected her from the worst of his world while never pretending it wasn't there. They were honest with each other, brutally honest. When Vincent came home with blood on his clothes, Elena didn't ask, but didn't shy away either. When Elena woke screaming from nightmares, Vincent held her without offering empty reassurances. They existed in their contradiction, violence and care, darkness and light, love built on a foundation of choices neither of them would take back. 2 years after the warehouse, Elena graduated nursing school. Vincent came to the ceremony, stood out among the families in his expensive suit and dangerous presence, and took more photos than anyone else there. That night, they celebrated in the penthouse. So what now? Vincent asked. You've got your degree. The foundation is thriving. What's next? Elena thought about this. I want to work in hospice care. Give people what my mother had. Dignity. Comfort, someone who cares. She paused. And I want us to expand the foundation. Not just medical debt, housing, education, real systemic help. That's ambitious. We have the resources. Why not use them? Vincent pulled her close. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Because you look at this broken world and see ways to fix it. Because loving you has made me question everything I thought I knew about myself. Good. You should question yourself. Keeps you honest. You keep me honest. Someone has to.
They stood by the windows, looking out at the city lights. Below them, millions of people lived and died and struggled. Elena's foundation would help a fraction of them. Vincent's empire would hurt others. The math didn't balance, would never balance, but they tried anyway. 3 years after the warehouse, Elena came home to find Vincent in his office, staring at his computer with an expression she couldn't read. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. But I got a message today. From Sal. Remember him? The guy from that first warehouse meeting. The one who tried to short you? That's the one. He's dying. Cancer. He reached out through channels asking if the Cross Moretti Foundation could help his family." Elena sat down. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing yet. I wanted to ask you first." Vincent turned to face her. 3 years ago, I nearly killed him for disrespecting me. Now he's asking for mercy. What do we do?" Elena thought about her mother, about mercy and dignity and the impossibility of balancing scales. "We help him. We help his family, not because he deserves it, because they do. Because that's what the foundation is for, helping people who have nowhere else to turn. Even when those people worked for me, threatened me? Especially then. If we only help good people, we're no better than the system that failed me." She met his eyes. "We help them. All of them. That's the point." Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay, we help them. Does it bother you? Being merciful to someone who disrespected you? It would have, before you. But you've taught me something about power. That real power isn't making people fear you. It's choosing mercy when you could choose violence. It's being strong enough to forgive. You're not forgiving him for my sake. No, I'm doing it because you've made me want to be someone who can forgive, someone who sees another option besides violence." He pulled her into his arms. "You've changed me, Elena. Made me human again. I'm not sure I deserve it, but I'm grateful for it. We've changed each other. I'm not the person I was before you either. Do you regret it? Becoming this person?" Elena thought about the waitress she'd been, drowning, desperate, dying slowly under the weight of impossible circumstances. Then she thought about who she was now, scarred, traumatized, but alive in a way she'd never been before. "No, I don't regret it. I regret the pain, the violence, the things I had to do, but I don't regret choosing you. I don't regret this life. Even knowing what it cost? Especially knowing what it cost, because I made the choice fully informed. I saw the worst of you, the worst of this world, and I chose it anyway. That's not naivety. That's love." Vincent kissed her forehead. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway." They stood there in the office surrounded by screens showing security feeds and encrypted messages and all the machinery of Vincent's empire. Outside, the foundation helped people. Inside, Vincent gave orders that resulted in violence. The contradiction existed, would always exist, but so did the love. So did the choice to try. So did the possibility that two broken people could build something beautiful out of their shared darkness. 5 years after the warehouse, Elena stood at a podium in front of reporters and donors, announcing the foundation's latest initiative, a nationwide program to eliminate medical debt for families below the poverty line. Vincent stood behind her, silent and watchful, his presence a reminder of where the money came from, but also a promise of protection. The foundation had helped thousands by then, erased millions in debt, given people the same impossible gift Elena had received, a chance to breathe, to live without crushing fear, to die with dignity. It didn't erase Vincent's sins, didn't balance the books, but it mattered anyway. That night they lay in bed in the penthouse, Elena's head on Vincent's chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Do you think we're good people?" she asked. "No, I think we're complicated people who try to do good things despite our nature." "That's not the same." "No, it's not, but it's honest." Vincent's hand traced patterns on her back. "We're not heroes, Elena. We're not saints. But we're not monsters either. We're just people doing the best we can with what we have." "And that's enough?" "It has to be, because it's all we've got." Elena thought about this, about the men she'd killed, about the lives the foundation had saved, about the impossibility of weighing violence against mercy, darkness against light. My mother told me once that life isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself, about looking in the mirror and living with what you see. Can you live with what you see? She thought about the woman she'd become, scarred, strong, capable of both killing and healing, a contradiction that would never fully resolve. Yes, I can live with it, because I chose it, because I'd choose it again. Even knowing the cost? Even knowing the cost. Vincent pulled her closer. I love you. That's the most honest thing I've ever said. I love you too. That's the scariest thing I've ever admitted. Why scary? Because it means I can't walk away, can't pretend this isn't real, can't hide from what we are. She looked up at him. We're bound together now, for better or worse. And I think it's going to be both. Probably, but we'll face it together. Together, Elena agreed. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd found each other in the darkness and decided that was enough. Who built light where they could and accepted the darkness where they couldn't. Who loved each other not despite their flaws, but because of them. Years later, when people asked Elena how she'd survived everything, the debt, the violence, the impossible choices, she would think about that night, about the honesty they'd shared, about the acceptance of who they were and what they'd done. And she'd say that survival wasn't about being perfect. It wasn't about making the right choices. It was about making honest choices and living with them. About finding someone who saw your worst and loved you anyway. About building something good even when the world told you that you didn't deserve it. She'd say that monsters aren't born, they're made. But so are heroes. And most people are neither. Most people are just humans trying to survive in a broken world, making impossible choices with insufficient information, hoping they choose love when it matters most. She'd say that she'd killed people to save someone she loved, and she'd do it again. That Vincent Moretti, the most feared man in the city, was also the kindest person she knew. The contradictions don't need to be resolved. They just need to be accepted. She'd say that the Cross Moretti Foundation helped thousands of people escape medical debt, and that same money came from illegal operations that hurt others. That the math would never balance, but they tried anyway. She'd say that 5 years after a desperate waitress accepted dinner with a dangerous man, she'd found peace not by escaping the darkness, but by learning to exist within it. That love wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was choosing someone every day, despite knowing all their flaws and yours. And she'd say that if given the choice again, knowing everything that would happen, every person she'd kill, every nightmare she'd endure, she'd still get in that car, still have that dinner, still choose Vincent Moretti and the impossible life he offered. Because some choices aren't about right or wrong, they're about survival, about love, about finding light in the darkness and holding on to it with everything you have. And Elena Cross, who became Elena Moretti, who transformed from a drowning waitress into a woman who saved lives by day and loved a killer by night, had made her choice. She'd chosen love. She'd chosen honesty. She'd chosen to live in the contradiction. And somehow, against every expectation and all logic, it was enough.